Paris 13 Atletico isn't the most historic club in France. Founded in 1968 as FC Gobelin, they have never reached higher than the Championnat National, where they are now. A merger with Stade Olympique Paris in 2012, along with another name change in 2020, led us to today, where the club with the Goblins as their nickname are officially named Paris 13 Atletico. With the club bouncing up and down between the 5th and 3rd tier over the last few years, can I bring them up to Ligue 1 for the first time? Well, not I, but Didier Desmoulins. He's a small old fellow who looks like he's going out on St. Patrick's Day, and he only wants one thing: to take over the reins as the biggest club in Paris. He's sick and tired of seeing PSG win everything every single year. Except for the Champions League, of course. And to show them how it's done, he wants to only sign Africans. Sort of like a reverse colony. Before we start, I just have to say that I've made an up-to-date database for all transfers in the French leagues down to the 3rd tier. And I've also merged it with the World Transfer Update database. So if you'd like to play along yourself, you can find the link to the database in the description. Now, let's jump in. The current squad is by no means all African. We almost have a full 11 of Africans or African second nationality players, so it's actually not that bad. We need a centre back and a lot of players for the bench. So we signed Damani, Mendy, Serbu and Amin Aid as emergency backup players and youngsters, Ewange, Asumo and Tiam as squad players in defense, Fontan and Lana as starters in midfield and attack, and we also bring in a few more players during the season, in Dosrais, Bouakane, El Kautari and Dabo. We brought in a lot of experience on one-year contracts, and we'll probably have a big rebuild ahead of us after this season. The season preview has us in 9th. That's way better than I imagined. But I do think that FM counts in the players that are at the club but won't play, so we might do worse. Or maybe better, who knows? I certainly don't. The first game of the season and save is away to FC Rouen. We'll play with this 4-3-3 tactic, by the way, where we have a playmaker ahead of 2 DMs. I think it's an interesting variant of the classic 4-3-3 and I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays. Both teams hit the woodwork early on. Before Jack Lane scored from Guel's looping cross to get the very first goal of this new journey. Kadiapom Mendy then decided to do this to get us the second goal. Rouen then reduced the arrears before Kadiapom Mendy scored this towering header to give us a 3-1 win to open the season. We win the next game as well, 2-1 against Bologne after going 1-0 down. So 2 wins from 2 games, but that quickly changed. Sochaux ran all over us in the 3rd game, as we lost 4-1. We then also lost 1-0 against Orléans as they scored from their only chance, while we struggled to score.
Yes! 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 No! 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 Balls!
Against Dijon and Le Mans, we draw 1-1 in both games. It's actually decent results, to be fair, as both teams are expected to be near the top. We then ran over Concarneau 3-0 in the next game, before we once again lost, this time to Villefranche. But this was so bullshit. The goal they scored was because of Sanou getting injured while punching the ball away. They then scored on the completely open net while he lay there hurt. Where is the fair play? I've never seen this in FM, and I am shocked. So we lost 1-0 as they scored that in the 88th.
Let's not take the piss here.
The next 2 games we were in 3-1 against Nîmes and 2-1 against Châteauroux. Guel, Darbo on his debut and Fontaine scored our goals against Nîmes. And against Châteauroux we went down to 10 men with 15 minutes to go, as Akwele Manga got his 2nd yellow. But Eneme Ella scored not long after to get us the win. After 10 league games, we're in 7th. We've got a game in hand on 3 of the teams ahead of us, and if results go our way, we could get up to 3rd. We've been quite inconsistent though, so we need to improve on that. But the inconsistency continued. We lose 1-0 to a team called Goal, as they scored in the 91st. We then win the next 3 games actually, but just about. We win 1-0 against both Versailles and Valenciennes. and then 2-1 against Nancy. A thing I'm noticing is that there aren't as many highlights at this level as there is at levels above, and the games are quite dull a lot of the time. And the second to last game before the Christmas break, we somehow managed to lose to Aubagne. They're near the bottom of the table, and we managed to lose 2-1 after a horrific first half.
Peter, what are you doing? Crack? What the f***? Hey, at least I'm not drinking, Brian.
Thankfully though, we bounced back with a 3-2 win against Bourg-en-Bresse after a horrible closing 10 minutes. But everything until then was great.
What is the goalkeeper doing?
The Coupe de France has also played out alongside the league, and we've not done too bad. We won 5-0 against amateur side Erstein in the 6th round, which is where we enter apparently. We then just about won 1-0 against Njort, a team at the level below us. Dos Reis got a second yellow right before halftime for this completely clean tackle, so we played with 10 men for well over half the game, but we still got the win. And in the 8th round we lost very undeservedly, 3-0 against Dijon as they scored 3 from 0.28 XG. So we're out of the Coupe de France. Our captain Bruno Ekoelamanga and Junior Asumu are going to the AFCON. So we're without 2 of our defenders for a month. And because of that I signed a new defender to have some cover, in Sekou Condé. He's very tall and quite experienced, so he'll be a nice rotation option I think. The final game of the first half of the season was the dullest game of this save. There was not a single highlight as we drew 0-0 against QRM. So that means we're in 5th at the halfway point. We performed brilliantly after a bit of a tough start to the season. And hopefully we can continue. It is insanely tight though, and no one is really running away with the league to be honest. There's 4 teams on 30 points and 1st to 8th is split by 6 points. That's insane. We start the second half of the season with a great 4-1 win against Rouen. Rocha Santos got himself a brace from the spot as we got 2 penalties. The next game is at home against Sochaux, one of the top teams who are looking for promotion. We start horrifically in the first half, and we're down by 2 at the break. But in the second half, we decided to go beast mode. Guel scored from this nice pass from Bouekane, and Lamadi scored 14 minutes later to equalize. And 5 minutes after that again, Cervantes stole the ball from their defense and squared it for Dabo to tap into the open net to give us the lead and complete an insane comeback. We win 3-2 against Sochaux and have really boosted our chances of getting promoted.
Yeah!
Really?
You!
Again?
That's right, what the you saying? What you saying, bitch?
We've signed a new right back by the way, in Pape Payet. He's another experienced player who'll come into the starting 11. But we do have some problems with the players already here. Our better players are starting to agree contracts with other clubs, as their contracts with us are up in the summer. Dabo, Rocha Santos and El Qatawi are amongst them. I've tried to negotiate with them, but they want ridiculous wages. They want between 3 and 7k a week, when they're currently earning a few £100. So there's not really anything I can do to keep them. And Dabo has just been injured as well, and is out for 2 to 3 months, so his career at the Goblins is basically done. We draw 0-0 against Orléans in another dull game, but it's a draw I'll actually take, as we didn't deserve anything. We then surprisingly smashed Dijon 4-0. They didn't have a single chance, as we took the current lead of the league.
Yeah, boy.
Against Le Mans in the next game, everything seemed to go swimmingly as we took the 2-1 lead in the 88th. Rabillard then scored to equalize in the 93rd. So at this point I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll take a draw. It's not that bad. But of course they score again. A full minute after the whistle should have been blown, the rat Rabillard scored again. So we lose 3-2 against Le Mans in what was a very important game for our promotion chances. We did it back though, by winning the next 3 games. We won deservedly 4-2 against Concarneau, 3-2 against Nîmes, and undeservedly 1-0 against Villefranche. So after 25 league games, we're in 3rd. We're equal on points with Sochaux in second, and we're 5 points behind Valenciennes in first, which we're playing next as well. We've also built up a 6-point gap down to Le Mans in fourth, so hopefully we can at least secure the promotion playoff spots. Against Valenciennes in the 26th league game, we missed a couple of good chances before Enema Ella pushed over his man to give them a pen. Bututau scored that to give them the lead. But 10 minutes later, we equalized as Rocha Santos went on this insane solo run before squaring it for Enema Ella to tap in. So a 1-1 draw against top of the league. I'll absolutely take that. We then lost 2-0 against Châteauroux of all teams. But we once again did hit back though, as we won 3-0 against Goal with Ekwele Manga and Guel with a brace scoring our goals. Before our next game, the youth intake came through, and it's not too good. The best talents are French, so we can't use them, and the African ones just aren't good enough. The next 2 games we disappointingly draw 1-1 against Versailles and hit back with a 3-0 win against Nancy. So after 30 league games, with 4 games to go, we're still in third. We're 4 points behind Sochaux in second, and we need to have a perfect end to the season to have a hope of going up automatically.
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
We did start perfectly, as we won 3-0 against Aubagne, while Sochaux lost 2-0 against Valenciennes. So now we're only a point off Sochaux. We then drew against already relegated Bourg-en-Bresse in a horrific performance. And Sochaux also drew their game, so that was actually our opportunity. Somehow we managed to draw again in the next game. This time to QRM. That draw was all down to Bourcain, as he got a straight red after 22 minutes. So now we've gone from being automatic promotion candidates to being out of the playoff spot as well. The final game of the season is here, and we're facing Bologne away. We need Le Mans to drop points, and we need to win in order for us to get the playoff spots. We start by conceding 5 minutes in. But we then equalized just 2 minutes later, and from there it was a cakewalk. Guel scored with this really bad finish, before Lane scored with this incredible one. Lamadi then finished it off to make it a 4-1 win. But we miss out on all promotion action as Le Mans won their game. So after the Finnish league season, we finished 4th. We just about miss out on promotion and promotion playoffs because of our inferior head-to-head record against Le Mans and Sochaux. If it was on goal difference, we would have got the playoffs. But that's how it works in France apparently. And the reason we had that inferior head-to-head was because of the 2 goals we conceded in added time to Le Mans. So we'll have to go again next season and really push for automatic promotion.
Oh shit, here we go again.
After Paris 13 Atletico missed out on promotion on head-to-head record, manager Didier Desmond has 1 year left on his contract to get the Goblins out of the National for the very first time. To get that done, we'd have to build on a strong core from last season. Annoyingly, that core would get tampered with, as Dabo, Rocha Santos and Alcotari all left for better wages. But we did manage to keep Noah Cervantes at the club, as we extended his loan from Troyes, while also bringing in Mohamed Diop on loan from the very same club. We tried extending Noah Lamadi's loan as well, but he decided he was too good for us, and wanted to play for Toulouse's second team, a level below us. Yeah, that makes sense.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
We then signed 3 washed-up Prem players in Kone, Sanogo and Kojia, a few backups in Paye, Irango, Ahamada and Nsikulu, a starter in midfield and in goal in Christian Kwame and Ulrich Ndri, and finally youngster Christantus Uche. Uche is currently at Getafe in real life, so it's a bit unrealistic that I got him on a free from Ceuta, but we'll take it and run.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
With the season preview putting us in 6th, I'm definitely expecting to fight for the title. And we got off to a brilliant start, as we won 1-0 against Concarneau and 5-1 against Beauvais-Oise in the first and second game respectively. Diop scored our only goal in the first game on his debut, and Kodja scored 4 in the second game. Then the nightmare started. Sochaux started by humbling us 3-0. In the next game we were up against newly promoted Angoulême-Charente at home, a game we should win easily. We started by scoring 2 minutes in, kind of as expected I thought. We then conceded straight from kickoff. And 10 minutes later, Kodja missed a pen. And then Boakane decided to play some volleyball as he handballed from a free kick cross. He obviously conceded a pen for it, but he also got a straight red. Ilias scored that to give them the lead. And to make matters worse, the same man scored again in the 74th. So we lose 3-1 against the newly promoted side because of one man, Boakane. So I demoted him to the U19s for his behavior, and we won't see him for a while. But the nightmare continued. We lost our next 2 games as well, against another newly promoted side in Créteil-Lusitanos, as well as a 3-2 loss to QRM. Against Créteil-Lusitanos, Guel scored this brilliant free kick to give us the lead, but we managed to bottle it and lose 2-1. And against QRM, they got a pen for Belquiter's completely clean challenge, which they scored to get the win.
Do you know what? What I might do is I might smash into somebody just to make me feel better.
So we've lost 4 games in a row, but thankfully we got a 3-2 win against Orléans in the 7th league game. It was not a good performance, but we managed to fight back from being 2-1 down as we scored the winner in the 90th through Diop. Now, against Dijon in the next game, Kodja had a dilemma when he received the ball at 30 yards, at 0-0 by the way. He could A. drive with the ball through their defense, B. play well through on goal with an easy 1v1 with their goalie, C. shoot, or D. wait for Diop's run and play him in. What do you think he did? He flipping shot from about 25 to 30 yards. Why?
Why? Why? Why? Why? Why?
And by the way, we ended up losing 1-0 because of this outrageous finish from Rocheton. We do get a win again though, but that was the least we could do, as we played last place Villefranche. We won 4-2 after goals from Cervantes, Kodja ×2, and Fontaine with this screamer. We then lost again. Despite Ndri saving this pen and the rebound, we couldn't get the win. Sukuna scored for Annecy in the 1-0 loss. So that means that after 10 league games, we're in 12th. We have been so shite. It's actually horrific. But then again, we just need to start a bit of a good run of games and we'll be right back into it. There is only 6 points up to 3rd place as well, so there is definitely still a chance. And because it's been going so shite so far, I'm changing the tactic from the 4-3-3 to a 4-2-4 or a 4-2-3-1 variant. I'm moving Diop up as a shadow striker off center, with Kodja moving slightly to the left, and I'm hoping we can create more with this tactic. We started our Coupe de France season with a confidence booster for the whole team, which we desperately needed, as we won 10-1 against amateur side Marvejols Sports.
That defence is about as useful as a red light on Grand Theft Auto. Useless.
We then continued the league campaign with a 2-1 win against Goal. We got a bit of a weird pen, which I still don't understand what it was given for, but Fontaine scored it to get us a sought-after win. We continued winning by beating Martigues 1-0 after Kodja scored 24 seconds into the game. Then we beat Versailles 3-0 as Diop got himself a hat-trick, and Guel also assisted all 3. Before going to play Rouen away, we beat another amateur side in the cup. Only 2-0 though, as we played quite poorly. But against Rouen, we played brilliantly. Despite Deschamps scoring for them 2 minutes in, we hit back by scoring twice. Once from open play and once from the penalty spot. But in the 93rd minute, they had a throw-in by our corner flag. It was crossed in and Ndri went to claim it, but he dropped it. Thankfully though, Pyrodo somehow managed to miss the entire open goal, so we win 2-1 in an extremely important game for our promotion chances. Before the final 2 league games ahead of the Christmas break, we'd played Ligue 2 side Red Star in the 8th round of the Coupe de France. They scored an offside goal 5 minutes in. But 2 minutes later, Kodja scored to give us the lead. And under 30 minutes later, Diop scored with this great finish to double our lead. And despite conceding in the 59th, we held on and won against the League 2 side. It seems like nothing can stop us at the moment. But that changed. We drew 3-3 against Aubagne in an annoying performance. We then got absolutely humbled by Châteauroux as we lost 5-2. They just scored everything, and we were a shadow of our former selves.
I am flabbergasted.
In the winter transfer window, we only bring in one player, Diodon Gaucho on loan from Cannes. I don't know exactly how good he is, so he'll either take Manga's spot or rotate with him. Before resuming league action, we play yet another amateur side in a cup. This was a bad performance from us, as it went to pens. We scored our first, while Sanu saved theirs. Lane and Prince scored their pens, before Papaye missed the entire goal for us. Viegas scored to make it level. Manga, Diediu, Sanogo, Tessier and Boeken, who's returned from the under-19s, all scored their pens. But when it was Sambo's turn, Sanu saved again to give us the win, so we advanced to the 10th round. The 17th league game, Boeken, who had basically just returned from the under-19s, decided to make the same exact mistake that got him there in the first place. He put in this career-ending tackle on one of their players and got a straight red, deservedly. So he's going back down there.
He's done it again! That is a foul! You little bastard!
We did manage to win the game though, as Kwame shot onto the head of Kodja in the 60th. That obviously demoted Boeken right after the game, and he just accepted it. I did not know players just accepted these things. But fair play to him, I guess. After 17 league games, at the halfway point, we're in 7th. We've had quite a good run lately, except for the final 2 games before the break. It is insanely tight once again though, as there's only 3 points from us up to 2nd. That's insane. So if we can start a good run again, we could absolutely push up to the automatic promotion place. Before starting the second half of the season, we've got Ligue 1 side Strasbourg in the Coupe de France. We started by missing 2 big chances, before they scored through Ouattara. Kodja then missed another 2 huge chances, so I decided to take him off for Lane. And exactly that man managed to equalize for us 20 minutes later, as their goalie tried to claim a corner, so Lane scored on a completely open goal. But just 3 minutes later, they took the lead again, from a corner of their own. And we didn't manage a reply, so we lose 2-1. But I'm so proud of the run we've had. It's actually been incredible. Going back to the league, we won easily 2-0 against Concarneau with Kwame and Sanogo scoring our goals. And against Sochaux in the next game, we drew 3-3. We had the lead twice, but lost it twice. And managed to score the third to at least get a draw. The next 6 games, we get a checkerboard of wins and draws. We draw 2-2 with Charente, win 5-1 against Créteil Lusitanos, draw 2-2 with QRM, win 3-2 against Orléans, draw 1-1 with Dijon, and finally win 1-0 against Villefranche. That nice run of results means we're in 4th. We're only 2 points behind 2nd, and there's just 3 points from 2nd down to 6th. If we can continue this nice run we're on, then we can actually get up to the automatic promotion spots. And boy did we continue the run. We started with a huge 2-1 win against promotion rivals Annecy to get past them in the table. We then disappointingly drew 2-2 against Goal of all teams. Thankfully though, we won 3-2 against Martigues, 4-2 against Versailles, and finally 2-1 against Rouen. And against Rouen, we scored a winner in the 90th. And that goal might just be the difference between promotion and staying in the league. After 30 league games though, with 4 games to go, we're in 2nd. We've had an insane run as of late, and are only 4 points behind Sochaux now actually. We do only have 2 points down to QRM in 3rd though, and also only 4 points down to Martigues and Annecy in 4th and 5th. So it's still insanely tight. We have quite an easy run in though, so we should be able to make promotion happen. The next game against Aubagne, we were on from the first second. We won 3-1 as Diop scored this incredible long shot, and Guel scored a brace. And Sochaux just drew their game against QRM, and we're now only 2 points behind them with 3 games to go. And we also have a 4-point gap down to exactly QRM. So promotion is looking very likely now.
Congratulations! Congratulations!
If we win against Châteauroux and QRM drop points in their game, we have secured automatic promotion. We took a 3-0 lead within 33 minutes as Cervantes, Lane and Cervantes again with this incredible finish. But Châteauroux then scored twice to make it nervy going into the break. Thankfully, Ekoelemanga scored this header and Cervantes scored again to get his hat-trick. So we win 5-2 and QRM have lost their game against Charente. So we have secured automatic promotion. What a turnaround of a season. We could actually get the title as well, if Sochaux continue dropping points. We win our final 2 games at least, to have the best possible chance of getting the title, as we beat Alès-Seven 3-0 and Beauvais-Oise 4-0. But Sochaux managed to just about get the title as they won their game against Annecy in the final league game. So we finished in second behind Sochaux on head-to-head record. And the fans were in disbelief of what Manager of the Year award winner Desmond had managed to accomplish with their beloved club, and couldn't believe they were gonna see their club in Ligue 2. Nothing seems to be able to stop the freight train of Paris 13 Atletico, so Ligue 2.
Here we go!
With a historic promotion to Ligue 2 for Paris 13 Atletico, the club has finally decided to go fully professional. So now Desmond can start his proper regime. Morning, we run. Lunch, we run. Dinner, we run. Evening, we play a little bit of football.
Just a little bit.
Desmond's motto was to always be able to run. Even if you're stuck under a truck, you should be able to run. As we're predicted for relegation, we need to bring in some players. And we brought in more than some. Salah came in on a free. Unfortunately not that Salah, but he's still an okay player. We then brought in a completely new backline in Loic Badiashile in goal, Hakim Abdallah on the left, Marvel and Ouattara in the middle, and Alpha Sissoko on the right. As well as backups for them in Laurendon in goal, and defenders Karamoko, Ba, Doumbia, Obaretin and Sai, who can also play in midfield, where he'll actually start as a Segundo Valente. Onto the midfield we signed Kamara and Jane as backups for Uche and Sai, and finally the attack. We've managed to get both Diop and Cervantes permanently from Troyes, for 325 and 500k respectively. And we've also brought in a brilliant winger in Ayman Boutoutsao on a free from Valenciennes. And finally, the piece de résistance. Melay Diang has signed on a free. He's a very good striker, will hopefully score loads of goals for us. And he started by doing just that. Well, at least a goal. Either way, we started by hammering Laval 4-2 to start our first ever campaign in Ligue 2 in the best way possible. Boutoutsao and Diang scored on their debuts, with Cervantes getting one and an own goal as the last one. Abdallah then single-handedly got us a draw against Amiens in the next game before we'd face the team that went up with us, Sochaux. They took the lead twice, and we equalized twice through Cervantes and Sai with this banger. But they then scored the winner with this long shot in the 91st. After that disappointment, we started an insane run. We ran over Ajaccio, as Diang did what we brought him here for, score goals, as he got himself a hat-trick. Against Clermont, Salah had a masterclass off the bench, as he scored to give us the lead and then got the assist to Diagne's header to get a further lead. We won 3-2 in the end and are into the direct promotion spots right now. We continued the winning run with a 7-0 dismantling of Martigues. Both Diop and Diang got a brace, which also got Diang the player of the month for August with 6 goals and 3 assists in 5 games.
I can see what they're doing, what he's doing. I can see it, I feel it. He's cooking.
Against Grenoble, we showed brilliant mentality, as Sai scored this insane long shot to equalize, before Rigo scored to get back the lead in the 90th. But Lane then scored this outrageous long shot in the 95th. And the following game against newly relegated Nantes, we showed the exact same mentality, as Diop scored this insane free kick in the 94th. So after 2 draws, we got back to winning ways, as we beat Khan 1-0 with Sai getting the goal against his former club. And we won the next game against Metz as well. Diang scored 2 tap-ins from Bututao's brilliant run, and Cervantes passed across. Cervantes got 1 from the spot, and Ouattara got the final one in a 4-2 win. And with those wins, we're in second after 10 games. Our start to the season has been nothing short of incredible, and we look like we can actually get promoted again. 2 points up to Cannes in first, and 1 point down to Amiens means we need to continue the unbeaten run we're on.
You serious?
We raised that, and did even better than an unbeaten run, as we continued winning games. We won 3-1 against Valenciennes with Diop, Bututao and Sai getting our goals. We then beat fellow Parisian side Paris FC 2-0 as Diop got a brace, before we won rather undeservedly 2-0 against Guingamp with Bututao and Marvel getting the goals. Pau, Dunkerque and Red Star got more of the same treatment, as we won 2-1, 3-1 and 4-2 respectively, as the Young continued his form with 3 goals in those 3 games. We then disappointingly drew 0-0 against Troyes in a dull game, but it had to stop somewhere. That insane run means we've obviously climbed up to first. And we also have a 9-point gap down to Amiens and Nantes in 2nd and 3rd. I'm genuinely speechless. By the way, we're selling out our stadium every single game, as we have a capacity of just 995. And I keep asking the board to buy the stadium or build a new one, but our finances are in the mud. So that will have to wait, unfortunately. Either way, we got back to winning ways with an easy 3-0 win against Laval as Cervantes tried a bicycle kick, which failed badly, but he eventually scored, and the Young got the other 2. So Show is next, the only team we've lost to. They got the lead as Marvel cleared the ball to their player. But just 3 minutes later, our super sub Salah scored with a brilliant turn and finish. And after Bututao hit the bar, Uche played this great ball over the top to Diang, who scored with a brilliant touch and finish of his own. So we get our revenge as we win 2-1 against Sochaux. In the Coupe de France, we've had an easy ride so far, as we beat amateur side Thonon Evian Grand Genève 2-0, semi-pro side Vendée Herbière 2-1, 2 national sides in Sasse-Épinal 1-0 and Dijon 2-1, and a national 2 side in Colomiers 3-0. So we've actually got the furthest ever. And Ligue 1 side Reims is up next. We conceded early, as Medic scored this header in the 11th. We didn't really have any chances until the 86th, where the Young got tackled in a box and we got a pen. And Diop scored it to equalize. After a huge block from Obaretin and 2 big saves from Badiachile, it's going to pens. We're up first with Sai, and he scores. Reims scored theirs as well through Toima. Lane, Nzola, Sissoko and Kwame all scored their pens to make it 3-3. But when our top scorer Diang stepped up, he missed. And as Flick and Docena scored their pens, they won 5-4 on penalties to knock us out. So we're out in a quarterfinal. Back to the league, we beat Ajaccio easily 4-1 as Obaretin scored this outrageous long shot, and Diang, Bututao and Diang again got the 3 other goals. But in the next game, it was full stop. We got hammered 4-1 by Clermont of all teams. We initially took the lead, but they scored 4 from 1.18 XG to humiliate us. It is our first loss since August though, so it's been an insane 17-game unbeaten run.
Oh my god, what is that? Oh my god! What is that?
After struggling to score for the second game in a row against Martigues, we finally scored in the 69th through De Jong. He got a second 2 minutes later, and Ouattara got the third and final one to beat relegation favourites Martigues 3-0. With that performance, De Jong got his third player of the month of the season, as he scored 5 and set up 1 in 3 games. He also got the one in December, by the way. Grenoble shock opened the next game, as Achilles had to pull off this big save after 39 seconds. But that was all to no avail, as they scored from the following corner. We equalized through Abdallah before they once again took the lead, this time from the spot. We did manage to equalize once again though, to save a draw in a disappointing performance. Against Nantes away in the 24th game, we missed 2 big chances early on, before getting a pen in the 20th as Diop was tripped up. And Cervantes scored it. Uche then decided to turn up the heat, as he first scored this nicely placed goal from distance, before winning the ball high up the pitch and going the whole way on his own and getting his second of the game and season. De Jong then obviously wanted to get in on a fan, so he scored one to get the 4-1 win. In the 25th league game, we just about beat Cannes 2-1 as Cervantes and Diop got one each. And so, with 9 games to go this season, we're obviously still in first, and we've now built up a 12-point gap. We do look like big favourites for promotion, but it could still get bottled. And we did start a bit of a troubling run at this point. We lost 1-0 to Metz in a dull game. We then drew 0-0 against Valenciennes in a game we wasted a lot of chances, and these were some of them. De Jong scored an offside goal, Sai hit the post with a bicycle kick, and De Jong missed a sitter. And then, against fellow Parisians, Paris FC, an unknown name, Lauar, decided to score 4. Just look at this! He's on loan from Monaco and looks like an absolute unit. We did start a comeback with De Jong scoring twice and Sai getting 1. But it was too late as we lost 4-3 against Lauar FC. And that means our gap is down to just 6 points now.
I'm not going to judge your journey. It is your fantasy, just as long as Wow! Okay!
We did manage to get out of the rut though. Thank f***. We ran over Guingamp 5-1 as Bututao scored not 1 but 2 brilliant free kicks. We then beat Pau 3-1 as De Jong got a brace and Jane got the final one. Which means we're up to an 8-point gap now, down to Paris FC. We have actually secured a playoff spot already as well, and if we can win 2 more games, we're completely safe for promotion. We did continue winning, as we beat Dunkirk 2-0 with Jane and Diop getting our goals. And after the results of the game we came through, we've been promoted! We're actually going up again! What an insane first and only season in Ligue 2!
Oh, king in the castle, king in the castle.
If we win against Red Star, we've got the title as well. We obviously pull it off, as Bututao and Diop ×2 got us a 3-0 win and the title. What a season! So with the 2-time Manager of the Year winner Desmoin beating all the odds and getting promoted for the 2nd year running, Ligue 1, here we come. And there's nothing that can stop us from getting even better. While our promotion from Ligue 2 brought a lot of attention onto Paris 13 Atletico, that wasn't just on the football side of things. Gulf states, venture capitalists, and even social media stars wanted to invest. Instead, businessman Owen Harkness, who's made his money from selling weapons to Middle Eastern countries, was not game. The man loved 2 things. Weapons, obviously, and the money to be made from football.
Swimming in it.
So he came in and took over the club. Despite the takeover, our budget stayed the same, so signing good players proved to be a real challenge. So I went bold.
I'm gonna go bold.
17-year-old Ahmed Ekra came in for 190k from the talent factory of ASEC Mimosas, and he'll be our starting goalie. A At right back we've got Genesis Antwi on loan from Chelsea, and at centre back Ibrahima Cisse and Sam Domenico Kubi came in to rotate with each other alongside Marvel. We also signed a new left back in Ignosi, a former Real Madrid academy player, for 150k from a Moroccan side. And before we could make any more transfers, the Australian league decided to go nuts on our players. So we sold Lane for 400k, Obaretin for 425 and Ebonog for 230 to A-League sides. And also Kamara for 50k, Badiashile for 85 and Salah for 115 to different teams. And with that money we brought in Siddiqui Sharif for 1 million, moving up to 2.8 from Algiers, Ibrahim Toumi for 400k, moving up to 3.1 million from Sochaux, as well as a couple more experienced players in Halal, Traore and Mendes. And we also brought Noel Amadi back to the club. But the biggest name we signed is without a doubt Magnus Achilles. He was just rotting in the Monaco reserves, so he was more than happy to join us on loan. We did also try to sign Lauar from Monaco, but he wanted to rot on their bench instead. It might have something to do with our training facilities. Our journey with the French elite started against Toulouse in front of the packed-out Stade Pelé, which isn't difficult. I mean, there's only 995 seats. But that would actually change in the near future, as the new board had agreed to build a new stadium with a capacity of 10,000. Make sure to give me your stadium name suggestions down below. But back to our Ligue 1 debut, it began terribly, as Emre Moore of all players scored with this thunderous finish to give them the lead 15 minutes in. And after Mendes had missed this sitter, Maja scored to double Toulouse's lead. And Traore topped it off by missing this sitter. So we lose 2-0 when it really should have been us scoring 2, not them. Our nightmare start continued, as we lost the next 3 games as well. 3-0 against Marseille, 2-0 against Lyon, and 1-0 against Lens. And in between those games, Antwi tore his hamstring and is out for 2 months.
Wow. Woo! Bravo, you fucking idiot!
But against Lorient, who were right down there with us, we turned it around. Yusi played it down the left to Sharif, who squared it for Hilal to tap in to get our first ever goal in Ligue 1. And also our first win. That win gave us the confidence to actually play some decent football. 6 minutes in against Brest, Abdallah had a throw-in by their corner flag. And after a brilliant passing move, Uche banged it into the net. They didn't score this mess of a goal to equalize. But we scored again. This time Cervantes got a header from Diop's cross, and we get our second win of the season. Now it's time for the reason we started this journey. PSG. We're away at the Parc des Princes for an epic battle. Yeah, we lost 4-0. Our first half wasn't actually that bad, as we only conceded once to Gonçalo Ramos. But then Colomwani, Hakimi and Serre Emery got one each in the second half. We just collapsed.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
But against league leaders Lille, we somehow managed to take the lead 34 seconds in. We then put away 2 more before the break, as Sharif and Achilles scored one each. Lille only managed to score once, so we somehow win 3-1 against the league leaders. Against Auxerre in the 9th league game, we went 2-0 down in the opening 15 minutes. But we managed to bring it back, as Sharif and Toumi ×2 scored to make it 3-2. In the 86th though, Sinayoko scored this header to equalize. But we refused to give up, and Diop scored with this great finish in the 93rd. But the highlight straight from kickoff would mean Auxerre would equalize just seconds later. So a 4-4 draw in a crazy game.
What just happened?
The next game we were very clinical, as 5 different goal scorers in Cisse, Achilles, Sharif, Jeanne and Traore got our 5 goals in a 5-2 win over Montpellier. After a tough start with 4 losses in a row, we bounced back brilliantly and are in 9th. The board has also finally agreed to improve the training and youth facilities, so life is good at Paris 13 Atletico at the moment. We continued our bounce back with a great team performance as we won 3-2 against Strasbourg despite Sheriff getting sent off. But our luck started to run out at this point, as we lost 1-0 against Nice and 3-1 against Rennes, all while our players started dropping like flies. Cisse and Okubi both got injured. We did get a win again though, against last place Saint-Étienne. Marvel, Bututau and Cisse got our goals, and Ekra got a penalty save. But against Monaco in the next game, exactly Ekra got injured 4 minutes in, and he's out for 6 to 7 weeks.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
We lost the game 1-0, and our backup, who isn't really good enough to be a backup, Laurent Don, will have to play while Ekra's out. And that injury meant we only managed a 1-1 draw against Paris FC and a 3-1 loss to Reims. So halfway, we're in 11th. It's actually a lot better than I thought it would be, so I am happy. But we still need to strengthen the squad, so we brought in a lot of players actually. Obviously a new backup goalie in Ronwen Williams, a new backup right back in Lindano Sencho, as well as a backup left back in Vali Konate, and also a new centre back on loan from Marseille in Bamo Maite. And the final 2 signings were 2 brilliant Nigerian youngsters, from Plateau United and Remo Stars respectively. Jude Wahab and Usman Okbey came in for a combined fee of just under 1.5 million and will hopefully bring the African flair to the club. The troubling run of games continued. We lost 2-0 to Toulouse and somehow 1-0 to Valenciennes in the Coupe de France, so we're out in the first round we played in. We then drew 1-1 with Lens, before losing 1-0 to Lorient in a dull game. Another draw followed, against Brest this time, before hosting PSG at Stade Palais. They'll finally get to experience the hostile atmosphere our 995 crazy fans make. They obviously dominated the game, but we somehow managed to hold on. Kvaratskhelia hit the bar from a free kick, before Jeanne conceded a pen. But Ekra saved it. And after Asensio had hit the post and bar, the ref blew his whistle. We've drawn 0-0 against PSG. Away to Lille, we had another insane performance in Okpey's first game for the club, as he's been injured. Achilles opened the scoring with his great finish. Okpey then scored not 1 but 2 tap-ins to get a brace on his debut. And he capped it off with an assist to Toumi to make it a 4-1 win. Our loanee, Bamo Maite, decided to rob his parent club of 2 points, as he scored to equalize in the 96th. So we draw 1-1 with Marseille as well, before smashing Auxerre. Their goalie, Sherif, and Okpey scored our goals in a 3-0 win. And that means we're 12th with 9 games to go. We are kind of in no man's land though, as there's 12 points up to Europe and 12 points down to relegation. But I'll absolutely take it. After recently finding our form, we draw 1-1 against Montpellier before beating Strasbourg 1-0. Toumi missed a couple of huge chances, before finally scoring in the 69th. But our run of form stopped as we lost 2-1 against Nice in a bad collapse after leading the game. We then got a great draw against Rennes, who are fighting for second. But injuries started causing havoc at the club at this point, as Antwi, Jane and Marvel all got injuries. That didn't stop us though, as we smashed Saint-Étienne 3-0 with Okpey, Sherif and Achilles getting our goals. So after 30 games, we're in 11th, and we've officially secured our place in Ligue 1 for next season, which obviously was the goal, and I'm very happy with that.
I feel very good.
The final 4 games, we lose 3-0 to Monaco, win against both Paris FC and Reims, and finally draw with Lyon. With our place in Ligue 1 secured, fans wanting Achilles to stay permanently, and a new contract for the old man walking with the cane, PSG were coming to get you. And nothing seems to be able to stop us. With Paris 13 Atletico securing a historic first season amongst the French elite, we're set for a season of glory. Oh, We're fighting relegation again. Well, hopefully not after bringing in these players. Melusi Buthelesi came in as our new backup goalie, Loni Antwi signed permanently on a free, as well as Okubi, Maite and Achilles all signing permanently as well. We then got one more centre-back in RAMB from Norwegian side Odd, before signing 3 new midfielders in Lazola Maku, Nabil Bentaleb and Neil El-Arnawi. And finally, we brought in a winger and a striker in David Emanuel and Gift Orban. We'll have to see if he actually is a gift though.
I am the gift, yeah.
We've obviously sold quite a few as well, as Bututau, Mendes, Marvel, Helal, Traore, Diop, Engisan and club legend Cervantes have all left. The French teams have been so shit in Europe the last few years that Ligue 1 has lost their UCL spots, so there's only 2 teams that go directly to the UCL league phase.
Really?
No?
We start our season at home against Montpellier, where our new signing Emmanuel came off the bench to get the first and only goal of the game. So we start with a win, but that quickly stopped, as we lost 2-1 to Brest with Luca Digne pulling out this beauty in the 92nd. We did it back though, with 2 wins in a row. 3-1 against Lyon with Orban, Okpe and Toumi getting our goals. As well as a 1-0 win against Strasbourg with Bentaleb getting the only goal from a short free kick. Before hosting PSG at home, we lost deservedly 1-0 against Marseille. But against PSG, we took the lead 19 seconds in. We continued by scoring through Marco in the 14th, through Okpe from the spot in the 19th, and again in the 36th through Okpe again. We're 4-0 up against PSG. What? Kvaratskhelia did score once right before the break though. And Kolomwani further reduced the arrears in the 50th, before Marco scored again to make it 5-2. Kvaratskhelia scored again in the 73rd, and then again in the 80th. But we managed to hold on for the final 10 minutes, and we win 5-4 against PSG. That is one hell of a performance.
Come on, England!
You tell us something your mum doesn't know.
Yeah.
But it's almost like winning against the best team in France made us 10 times worse. We lose the next 3 games. 1-0 against Lorient, 2-0 against Auxerre, and 2-0 against Lille. In the 10th game though, we finally won again, as we beat Troyes 3-1 with Achilles, Okpe and Sherif scoring. So after 10 games, we're in 7th. We have had a relatively good start with 5 wins and 5 losses, but we really should have won more of those 5 losses. At this point we got 2 more disappointing games, as we drew 2-2 with both Toulouse and Cannes. Against Toulouse, Orban scored this in the 90th to rescue a draw. But Konate then pushed his man in the 92nd, so they got a pen. But Ekra saved it. He's really turning out to be a great penalty goalie. But since we've been conceding so many goals lately, I decided to change the tactic to a 5-back. A 5-2-3 to be specific. But that would also change to a 5-2-1-2 after a couple of games. Against Reims, we lost 1-0 in yet another disappointing game, before we finally won a game again. We won 3-1 against Lens as we came back from 1-0 down by scoring in the 53rd, 70th and 75th through Maku ×2 and Okpe respectively. But after a single win, we go back to losing. We lose 1-0 to Rennes and then 2-1 to Monaco. In the 17th league game, the final one before halfway, we conceded first as UC conceded a pen, which Milinkovic-Savic scored. After the break though, RAMB scored this header from a corner. And in the 94th, Orban scored this header from UC's cross to give us the lead. And then he scored again under 2 minutes later to give us a 3-1 win.
He's the best football player in the world.
Which means that we're in 9th at the halfway point. We are within reach of the Conference League spot though. and I'm hoping we can get there. Against dead last Montpellier in the next game, we only managed a 1-1 draw, as they scored in the 87th. Sharif and Achilles scored our 2 goals in a 2-0 win against Strasbourg in the next game, before we got smashed 4-0 by Marseille as they scored all 4 in the second half.
What's the goalie doing, Tom? What's the goalie doing?
As for the Coupe de France, we won 5-1 against Fleury in the 9th round, before just about beating Pau FC in the next round. We were 2-0 down and came back late to get the win. But against Lens in the 11th round, it was full stop. We lost 7-2. They scored 7 from 3.37 xG. So we're once again out of the Coupe de France.
Dear Lord, what a sad little life, Jane. You ruined my night completely so you could have the money, but I hope now you spend it on getting some lessons in grace and decorum, because you have all the grace of a reversing dump truck without any tyres on.
We continued the theme of getting smashed, as we lost 3-0 away to PSG with Sarah-Marie, Dembélé and Kvaratskhelia from the spot getting their goals. By the way, we only brought in a single player in the winter transfer window. We brought in Mohamed Jetai to replace the outgoing Ibrahima Cissé. Back to league action, we got back to winning ways by beating Lorient 3-0 with Achilles, Toumi and Orban scoring. The next 3 games, we drew 1-1 with Auxerre, won 2-0 against Brest and drew 0-0 with Lille. Okpei got a goal against Auxerre from the spot, and Achilles and Sharif got our goals against Brest. So with 9 games to go, we're in 8th. We're unbeaten for the last 4 games actually, but we should have won at least one of the 2 draws we got. But hopefully we can climb up to 6th. We continued our incredible unbeaten run by beating Troyes 2-0 as Okpei scored both. We then beat Toulouse 2-0 as well, with Sharif and Okpei once again scoring.
How many genders are there?
I don't know, I just got here.
But in the next game against Cannes, we went 1-0 down. We hit back in brilliant fashion though, as we scored 4 in the second half to make it a 4-1 win. We continued winning by beating Reims 2-0 with Okpei of course and Sharif scoring the 2. And against Lens we took the lead early through Achilles. We then gave them the ball in the 29th, so Kalimundo had an easy job of equalizing. In the 55th though, Antwi scored to give us the lead again. But 2 minutes later, UC gave them the ball again, so they equalized again. 3 minutes after that again though, Okpei decided to do everything on his own and give us the lead for the 3rd time. Not even a minute later though, we gave them the ball in our half for the 3rd time, so Kalimundo could once again equalize. And another 2 minutes later, guess what we did? We gave them the ball, so Oscar scored to give them the lead for the 1st time. Thankfully though, Achilles managed to score to get a draw after such a frustrating game where we basically gave them 4 goals.
I don't know what the fuck just happened.
After 30 league games though, we're in 7th. We're just a point behind Auxerre in 6th now, the Conference League spot. So hopefully we can continue our 9-game unbeaten run and get into Europe. Against Rennes in the next game, Maite had Seba on side, who in turn scored to give them the lead 11 minutes in. But in the next 8 minutes, we scored twice through Okpei and Mako to get the lead. Okpei got his 2nd right before the break, and Ekra topped it off by saving a pen in the 93rd. So we win 3-1 to go past Auxerre, as they lost. We've now gotten Monaco away. They're fighting for UCL football and are big favourites to win this game. And they certainly performed like it in the first half, as Benzegir scored twice to give them a 2-0 lead. But under 10 minutes into the second, Okpei scored this from Sancho's incredible ball over the top. And a half hour later, in the 84th, Maite scored a header from Orban's shot from a short corner. So we managed to save a big 2-2 draw against Monaco. The second to last league game, we won 2-1 against current third place Nice to almost secure Conference League football already. Lyon are 2 points behind us, so if we draw or win, we've got Conference League next season. Ahead of the game, I decided to put Orban in for Sheriff, as the former has performed well off the bench lately. And Jesus, was it the right decision. Orban scored a first half hat-trick, which he actually got in 6 minutes, in the 38th, 40th and 44th. Right after the break though, Kaufmann scored for Lyon. But in the 64th, Orban decided to go crazy once again. He got the ball right outside our box, went all the way into their box, and got Omari to score an own goal to get the 4-1 win, and secure Conference League football next season. Despite being a club with a stadium capacity of 995, we've somehow managed to get to Europe.
Listen, airport that way. Europe is this way.
Didier Desmond had done the unthinkable with a side who only wanted to avoid relegation. He might actually have surprised himself as well, as Paris 13 Atletico are going on a European tour.
We're going on a trip in our favorite piece of shit.
After securing European football for the very first time in our history, we need to go through the Conference League qualies. We need to win 2 double-legged ties in order to get to the league phase. First up is Slovan Liberec, and we start with a disappointing 2-2 draw, as we had to come back from both 1-0 and 2-1. And in the second leg we smashed them 5-1, with Okpei getting amongst the goals by scoring twice. Next up is Dinamo Zagreb, a bit of a tougher opponent. This tie was the opposite of the last, as we smashed them 4-0 in the first leg and then a simple 2-1 win in the second. So we're officially through to the Conference League phase. So let's announce the signings. Corey, as well as 2 young centre-backs in Douglas Nganoa and Kagiso Suma, hopefully it doesn't go anywhere near Cats, as well as yet another centre-back on loan from Chelsea in Travis Akomeo. Okonkwo also came in as our new backup goalie for free. A very promising right wing-back was next, in Yassin El Amrani, before we sign a new midfielder in Yassin Ayari. And finally, a very promising striker came in as well, in Islam Situni. He actually scored a brace against us last year, so if you can't beat them, sign them. We got rid of Sencho, Jane, Buthelesi, Emmanuel, Baba, Wahab and Jetai in what was a necessary rebuild for our European endeavors. Some of them genuinely just didn't turn out how I expected, and some just weren't good enough. The first league game against Saint-Étienne, Desmond definitely lost his match in terms of height.
He's a very small man.
But we most certainly didn't lose the actual game, as we smashed them 4-1. RAMB of all people got a brace, with Maku and Orban getting the final 2. Our cat-friendly, I promise, new signing decided to get a bit violent after all, as he got a straight red 42 minutes in against Rennes. So Rennes scored right before the break and in the 70th and 73rd as well. And despite another new signing, Situni getting one back, it was too late, so we lost 3-1. The next game is against rivals PSG. At home at Stade Pelé, since our new stadium is delayed, we got off to a bad start. Kolomani scored this from Dembele's insane pass through 11 minutes in. But in the 23rd, it was Orban's time to play a brilliant pass to Okpei, who tapped it in. And there's a highlight straight from kickoff. Maku played this nice ball through to Okpei, who once again scored to take the lead for us. A bit after El Ainawi missed this sitter, Maite decided to give away this pen, when Seremeri was on his way out of the pitch. And Kvaratskhelia obviously scored it. So we draw 2-2 with PSG in a good performance from us.
Right! That's it! I have had enough! Enough! You get out!
Another draw followed, this time against Lille, despite Situni getting a brace. But we finally got back to winning ways against Nice at home. Ayari and Okpei ×2 got the goals in the 3-1 win. And against Lens, just like last season, we gave the ball to Kalimuendo, so he scored 3 minutes in. But Situni equalized for us right after the break, as they gave us the ball this time. RAMB followed it up by scoring the rebound of his own header, and Situni topped it off by once again giving us the lead after Semenyo had equalized for them. So we win 3-2. Now it's time for our very first game at our new stadium, Stade des Gobelins. By the way, thank you for good suggestions. It was a dull game all round, but we did get to win as El Amrani scored this rather shite goal. Despite our new stadium qualifying for playing in European competitions, we're playing in a different stadium at home.
What is this? What is this? For what? Why?
So we had to smash Dunstreda at home, but away from home. Situni, Ayari, Okpe, Nganoa and RAMB scored our 5 goals in a 5-1 hammering. We continued in the same pace against Lyon in the league. She scored twice and missed a pen inside 20 minutes. We then conceded 2 minutes later, before scoring less than a minute after that again, this time through Okpe. And the same man got another straight from kickoff in the second half, before we conceded twice right before the end. But we won 4-3 either way. We then robbed Strasbourg by scoring 3 from 1.7 xg, while they scored 2 from 2.74. Either way, Okpe, Maku and Orban got our goals in the 3-2 win.
A little bit naughty, that.
And Paris FC got more of the same treatment. Okpe got himself a hat-trick, and Maku got the final one in a 4-2 win. Which means that after 10 league games, we're in second. We're tied on points with PSG in first, and we're actually in a title fight currently. Going back to Europe, we waste loads of chances against Albanian Skandia. They scored early before Okpe missed 2 big chances, and both Situni and Okpe hit the woodwork. But in the 62nd, we finally scored, with Yusi scoring this volley from Maku's cross. And not long after, Okpe scored to give us the lead. But they scored this in the 81st to make it a disappointing 2-2 draw.
They're rubbish! They could enter a useless bag of shit competition and be the only entrant and they still wouldn't win it. They are terrible.
And the next Conference League game, we somehow managed to lose 2-1 to 10-man Brighton. A goal for each team inside 5 minutes meant it went to a cagey affair. Up until Bozdogan got a straight red for this horror challenge. I thought we were guaranteed a win, but as I went very attacking, we conceded in the 92nd. Back to Ligue 1, we got a reality check there as well, as we got humbled 3-0 by Lorient. We literally had nothing, and they scored everything. But we did hit back, as we just about, but deservedly, won 2-1 against Auxerre. Sharif and Maite got our goals. Before we won 2-0 against Troyes in a routine game, to be honest, where Situni and Akomea scored. The latter continued scoring, as he scored against Monaco in the 2-1 win. He wasn't even supposed to be on the pitch though, as I put him on at left wing back by accident, and I only noticed it when he scored.
I am Jose Mourinho.
The next game against Toulouse started off with a madness. Souma scored from Akliouche's free kick cross 2 minutes in. Straight from kickoff though, El Amrani scored this own goal. We then scored twice more in the next 5 minutes. Masson then pulled one back 20 minutes later, before we once again scored twice more before the break, as RAMB and Okpe scored. A second own goal followed, as RAMB got a powerful shot deflected off him. Toulouse scored once more to make it 5-4, before Mako got himself a brace with this great finish and this rebound. So we win 7-4 in one of the craziest games I've seen. The final 2 league games before the halfway point though were horror shows. We lost 4-2 to Reims as they scored 4 from 0.83 xg, while we scored 2 from 3.32.
I think if we all just take a couple of deep breaths here and just try to... Fuck!
And against Marseille, one of the teams we're fighting with right at the top, we lost 3-1 in another horror performance. Back to the conference, for the final 3 league phase games, we win easily 2-0 against Fervar as Ekra got a penalty save and Sharif and Okpe got our goals. A very dull 0-0 draw with Genk followed, before we smashed Red Star 4-1 as Situni, Okpe, RMB and Achilles got the 4 goals. So that means we miss out on top 8 by a single point, and we'll have to go through the knockout playoff round. And the league standings are as follows. We're in 4th. The last 2 games, the losses to Reims and Marseille, means we've dropped down a couple of places. So we're now looking like big outsiders for the title. But I'll look to at least get back into the UCL spots. Before we bring in a couple players, it was announced that Didier Deschamps has won the French Manager of the Year for 2028. Ahmed Ekra also won the African Young Player of the Year, and Okpe just won the European Golden Boy. What a side we're building! And it just got slightly better, as we signed Amara Diouf on loan from Sevilla, David Datro Fofana on a free, and finally a brilliant centre-back in Mohamed El Omari for 15 million from Willem. To bring in the latter, we had to sell Bright RMB, who wanted to leave for a bigger club, so he went to Leicester. Back to league action, we only managed a 3-3 draw with Saint-Étienne. We were 3-0 down and scored all our goals from their mistakes in their own half, so it's an okay result after all.
Hi. Hi, hello. Congratulations first of all.
Thank you. We then had PSG away next. I was hoping for a close game we could maybe pick up a result, but we got hammered. We lost 4-2 in the end as they kept capitalizing on our mistakes. In the 20th game, we won rather undeservedly 2-1 against Lille. Nga, Noah and Situni got our goals as we got back to winning ways. Our Coupe de France run so far has been pretty comfortable. We beat National 2 side Saint-Malo 2-0, Montpellier 3-0, and we've now got our arch rivals PSG at home. After scoring an offside goal, Situni finally got his actual goal in the 34th. Right before the break though, Kvaratskhelia scored to equalize. Nothing really happened until the same man got PSG the lead in the 91st. But straight from kickoff, Diouf scored with his great finish off the post to equalize. And in the 95th, we somehow managed to score again. Okpe scored from Sharif's flick on to get us the win. We're through against PSG. And we genuinely have a chance of winning the entire thing now.
You all laughed at me. Well, I have to say, you're not laughing now, are you?
Against Lens in the league, we were drawing 1-1 when Ignosi put in this horror challenge and got a straight red. But Situni got his second of the night to get the 2-1 win. And against Nantes in the next game, we smashed them 5-2, as Okpe, Diouf, El Ainaoui, Okpe again and Akomea got our goals. We then beat Lyon 3-0 before being 1-0 down against Nice at the break. But in the second half, we scored 4 unanswered goals before they got a consolation goal to make it a 4-2 win. And in the 25th league game, we beat Strasbourg 2-0 as Antwi of all people got himself a brace. So with 9 games to go, after 25 games, we're in 4th. We're only a point behind both Marseille and Monaco in 2nd and 3rd, so we're definitely still within reach of UCL football. Speaking of Europe, we got Dunstreda in the knockout playoff round. A tie we should win very easily considering we beat them 5-1 earlier this season. We had an insane first half in the first leg, as we scored 4 through Datro Fofana, Diouf, Antwi and Datro Fofana again, on his debut by the way. But in the second half, we conceded 3 to only win 4-3.
Yeah, first half was good, but second half was shit.
The second leg was way more routine though, as we beat them 2-0 with 2 of our centre-backs in Zuma and Nga Noah getting the goals. By the way, around this point, Ignosi sprained his knee ligaments and is out for 5 to 7 weeks, so he'll miss our round of 16 tie against Copenhagen. The first leg, at home by the way, was a dry affair, as we drew 1-1 with Datro Fofana scoring our only goal. The second leg was a bit of the same dryness. We took the lead through Okpe 5 minutes in, but the game was very dry until we doubled it in the 75th. 4 minutes later though, they reduced the arrears. And in the 91st, we conceded again. We've somehow bottled it, and it's going to extra time. Other than an offside goal from Okpei, nothing happened in extra time. So it's going to pens. Lyle Foster is up first for them, and he scores. Okpei, our star player this season, somehow misses.
He's bloody missed it! What a prat! What a prat!
Rooney, who for some weird ass reason is still here, scores for them. Achilles then scored for us, before Hansen once again put away their pen. Toomey and Hatteber scored their pens, and it's now up to Elomari, who has to score. And he does score, but now Okonkwo has to save. And he doesn't. We're out to fuck Copenhagen, bro. And to make matters worse, as you saw, Okonkwo played against Copenhagen. And that's because Ekra got injured earlier in that game, and is out for 4 to 5 weeks with a fractured arm. A routine performance against fellow Parisians, Paris FC followed the Conference League defeat, as Sherif and Maku scored one each in the 2-0 win. 2 draws against way worse opposition followed. We drew 2-2 against Lorient and 1-1 against Auxerre. And in both games, we actually had to do the chasing towards the end. And we're genuinely lucky to pick up 2 points. Now in all of these European games, we've also played the Coupe de France quarterfinal. We went 1-0 down quite early as Fjordhoff Lovik scored the rebound of a Morten's free kick. And it wasn't until the 78th that we equalized. Toomey scored it. But then we conceded 3 minutes later, to Lauar, who continues to haunt us. Thankfully though, El Ainaoui scored with this great chip in the 89th. And in the 95th, Muric pulled off this brilliant save, which got us a corner. And from that corner, Situni scored this deflected volley to get us the win. And we've now got Strasbourg in the semi-final. Elomari scored an offside goal 2 minutes in, Situni hit the woodwork with this long shot, and Okpei missed this sitter. But in the 76th, we finally scored, as Elomari scored a great header from Achilles' corner. That was enough, and we're through to the final for the very first time in our history. Back to the league, we won deservedly 2-1 against Reyes, as Achilles and Toomey got one each. And against Monaco in the 30th league game, without Sherif, who's broken his ankle, we got off to a great start. Okpei scored this 7 minutes in. The same man scored again just over 10 minutes later to double it, before Gros scored in the 21st. But the same man, Okpei, scored once again in the 26th to get his hat-trick. And 2 minutes later, he scored again. And to top it off, he scored a 5th goal in the first half. El Amrani put the icing on the cake with this great finish, before they got a consolation goal. So we win 6-2 against Monaco to climb up to 3rd. We're tied on points with Marseille in 2nd, and we look like we can definitely secure UCL football for next season. PSG are so far away though, 11 points ahead, so it's a big job ahead of us in the future. After 8 minutes against Toulouse, Ekra and Zuma decided they wanted to kiss, so they did this. Torstvedt had an easy job of scoring.
What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
An equalizer from Elomari followed. And only 2 minutes later, they scored to take the lead again. Not long into the second half, our new signing Datro Fofana came on. And wow, just wow. He pulled an Okpei and scored 5 goals in one half. 2 games in a row with 5 goals from one player in one half. How? So we smashed Toulouse 6-2 as well. I don't really want to talk about this next game, to be honest. We lost 2-1. There you go. We've now got Marseille at home, a huge game against the team right ahead of us. Costinha decided to ruin his side's chances, not even 10 minutes in, as he put in this horror challenge on Datro Fofana to get a straight red. So we scored 6 unanswered goals to make it a 6-0 hammering. And if we can beat Rennes, we've got 2nd place. Nothing happened in the first half, but less than 10 minutes into the second, Okpei scored. And goals from Diouf, Nganoa and Akomea meant we won 4-0 to secure UEFA Champions League football next season. We got second place behind PSG, a long way behind them, but let's just take it one step at a time. They won it by 11 points, by the way, so we have a long way to go. Now though, it's time for a historic Coupe de France final against Lille. Less than a minute after pulling off a great save, Ekra punched the ball straight to their striker Thiago, so he scored on an open goal. Thankfully though, we replied very quickly, as Okpei equalized and Toumi got us the lead. Straight from kickoff in the second half, we scored again. This time through El Ainaoui from Okpei's knockdown header. They then scored 2 minutes later. But Okpei scored again in the 60th to make it 4-2. Under a minute later though, Akomea wanted to make it nervy again, so he pushed his man in our box, and Angel Gomez scored the pen to make it 4-3. But we held on to win the Coupe de France, our first ever major trophy. So with our first ever major trophy secured, the Smoen winning the Manager of the Year, and Okpei performing on another level, surely there ain't that long of a way to go until we challenge PSG, right?
No way. We got you. Not a chance.
Manuel Akanji to Paris 13 Atletico.
Here we go.
Now why would multiple Premier League winner and Champions League winner Akanji want to join us? Well, no one wanted him. So we signed him on just 27.5k a week. With an actual good budget for once, because of our sale of Siddiqui Sharif for 30 million to Feyenoord, we could sign multiple good players. Saïdou Sanusi and the big man himself, Dani Namaso, came in on free transfers. Finally, we brought in Rami Seruki for 4.3 million from Bournemouth, and a Mozambique striker in Victor Nantumbo for 11 million from Schalke. Alongside Sharif, these were the other outgoings. Maite moved to Cadiz for 5 million, Corey moved to Almeria for 5.75 because he wanted more playing time, and Uche and Konate moved to Le Havre and Valladolid respectively. With us moving into the Champions League this season, the board have started upgrading our facilities, and have agreed to do so again. And they're also expanding the stadium. It'll take 11 months though, so we'll play our home games away from home the entire season. Since we won the Coupe de France last season, we got PSG in the Trophée des Champions ahead of the season. I'll summarize it very quickly. Messi and loads of goals, which PSG got more of in the end. They won 4-3 and started their season with a trophy.
Don't care. Just don't care anymore. Don't care.
With the season preview having a 7th, my assistant manager said to the press that we could win the league this year, so I'll look to at least challenge for it. And we started well on that front, as we won 4-2 against Rennes in the season opener. Okpei, Toumi, Ayari and Toumi again got our goals, which we scored from just 1.1 xg. We continued that theme, as we won 2-0 against Lille in another clinical performance. Marco scored this banger, and Datro Fofana got the other one. Very lucky, I might add. We somehow only managed a 1-1 draw with newly promoted Pau in the next game. But like usual, we did hit back, by winning the next 3 games. We won 2-0 against Montpellier as El Amrani and Okpei scored, 4-0 against Lyon as Marco scored another brilliant goal and new signing Nantumbo got a brace. And finally we won 2-0 against Monaco as well, with Okpei and Nantumbo getting the goals. Going into our very first UCL game in our history, we're facing Genk at home, and it's a game I'm 100% expecting to win. We started by hitting the post and scoring an offside goal. Sekiri then scored for Genk right before the break, and 15 minutes into the second half. It wasn't until the 83rd that we managed to get one back, and in the 93rd Achilles got tackled from behind inside their box, so we got a pen. But Achilles hit the bar and it went over. So we've somehow lost 2-1 to fucking Genk. But the next UCL game, away to Trabzonspor, we showed our quality. El Omari opened the scoring by scoring his own rebound. 20 minutes later, Okpei doubled it after a big mess in their box. And right after the break, Datro Fofana cemented it by scoring our third and final goal in a 3-0 win. Back to the league, we continued in the same way as against Genk. Namaso missed this good chance before Mustafa scored for Nantes. 3 minutes after that though, El Ainaoui got tackled and we got a pen, which Namaso scored. And after Situni had scored this offside goal because of Namaso being off, we got another pen in the 94th, which Namaso would take. And he f***ing missed. So just like against Genk, we've lost out on valuable points because of a penalty miss in injury time.
You can't miss. You can't miss this. He's bloody missed it! What a prat! What a prat!
But in the next 3 league games, we really stepped it up. Marco and Okpei got us the 2-1 win against Troyes, before we smashed Auxerre 5-1. Situni, who'd come on for Nantumbo just a few minutes earlier, opened it. Yusi doubled it and Namaso got one as well, before Toumi scored this outrageous volley. And finally, Situni got his second of the night to make it 5-1. Before he smashed Lorient as well. Toumi got himself a brace and Situni and Namaso got the final 2 in the 4-1 win. After those great results, it means we're actually leading the league. We're in first by 3 points down to PSG and are still unbeaten with 8 wins and 2 draws. At this point, Eddie Howe said to the media he was interested in signing Yusi, so I naturally told him he wasn't for sale, as well as a small extra comment. And a few days later, Eddie Howe said it's the first he's heard of rumors linking him to Yusi. He must have eaten some special brownies or something, man, cause he is in a different universe. We've now got Real Madrid at home in the UCL. A huge game, and one that really shows how far we've come. Nothing happened in the first half, but 3 minutes into the second, Marco decided to do this. What a shot! 10 minutes later, Yusi considered this pen, which Neves scored. Arda Güler then scored in the 70th to take the lead. But in the 89th, Okpei scored with this nice finish from El Armani's brilliant cross. But it's offside. So we narrowly lose 2-1 to Real Madrid. As if it wasn't enough with one giant, we've now got PSG away at the Parc des Princes. The only thing that happened in the first half was this good save from Ekram. João Neves then scored an offside goal not long into the second. And the next highlight didn't come until the 89th. Achilles was tripped up, so we got a pen. Now, would Okpei do the same as Achilles and Namaso and bottle it with a late penalty? No, he wouldn't. He scored the pen to get us an extremely important win. We took that win and didn't really get any momentum actually. We won against Lens by scoring 2 late goals, but from there we fell off. We lost deservedly 3-1 against Ajax in Europe, before losing our first league game of the season as well. We actually had a lead against Nice, but 2 questionable actions from Namaso and Zuma led to them scoring twice and winning 2-1. A brilliant first half performance followed that loss, as we scored 3 against Toulouse, including this one from Marco's outrageous Rabona cross. We did concede twice in the second half, but we managed to hold on to win 3-2 in the end. We continued winning by beating Strasbourg 2-1 as Situni and Okpei scored. Against Reims in the next game, Chris flipping Metham scored against us, but we hit back in quick fashion as Marco and Hannibal with an own goal scored our goals. El Amrani came off the bench in the 52nd, only to get 2 yellows quicker than I've seen on this game. And it's not the first time he's been suspended, I'll tell you that. He really needs to go to a therapist, I think, because he has some serious anger issues.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Eh? Yes.
Look at him.
The final 2 UCL league phase games before the break were 2 similar but very different games. We got smashed 4-1 by Villarreal before smashing Besiktas 4-0. And the final league game before the break, we went 1-0 down early as El Omari just stood there. Thankfully, Antwi, who was playing in place of suspended El Amrani, provided the assist to Situni to equalize. But they scored twice more before the break. Namaso did score with this great finish, but he then got injured and we didn't manage anymore. So we disappointingly lose 3-2, which means we are still in first, but only by 2 points. That loss has put us in a much worse position, and we need to get back to winning ways ASAP. But that would be difficult when half your squad, squad, is leaving for AFCON. I did think about this problem a few seasons ago, but I've since completely forgotten it. So we'll do really well to win anything this January. I mean, look at the state of our squad. So we had to delve into the market and bring in 3 players to somewhat cover the gaping hole of AFCON. We brought in Divine Mukasa, Loic Bade and a brilliant striker in Sadat Nuruddin on loan from Celtic, Atletico Madrid and Chelsea respectively. Despite our squad struggles, we did manage to advance in the Coupe de France, as we won 4-0 against Amneville. That win was expected though. And against Rennes, our struggles really came to light, as we only managed a 2-2 draw. We then just about won 1-0 against third-tier side Dijon as Nantumbo, who's already returned from AFCON since he's Mozambican, scored our only goal. Against Montpellier, we actually managed to win 3-1, as Toumi, Namaso and Okpe, who's just returned from AFCON, scored our goals. In the UCL, we lost 4-0 away to RB Leipzig. It was kind of expected, and without quite a few key players, it's even more expected. And that loss means we have to win against Celtic to have a chance of going through. We had an insane first half, as Namaso, El Omari and Achilles got 1 each. 5 minutes into the second though, we conceded as Mikel Merino, who somehow moved to Celtic, scored. Nuruddin hit back with a goal, but we conceded twice more in short succession. Dewsbury Hall scored this free kick through our wall, and Paulinho scored an open goal as Okonkwo had a howler. But we held on and won 4-3 against Celtic in a mess of a game, and that means we literally finish as the 24th team. So we're through by the skin of our teeth. 3 wins and 5 losses has somehow been enough. Now, we finally have all our players back from AFCON, and Ekra and Datro Fofana actually won the entire thing, so congrats to them. We really took advantage of having everyone back though, as we smashed Lyon 3-0, Monaco 4-1 and Nantes 4-2 to get back to our former self. And in the UCL, we've been around Chelsea, a very difficult opponent, but we could also manage an upset here.
What?
The first leg was maybe the dullest game in Europe I've seen, as we drew 0-0. But the second leg might just be the most entertaining game in Europe I've seen. Well, at least the second half. Okpe hit the post from a corner in the 48th, but our Kanji was there to tap in the rebound. And just under 20 minutes later, we scored again, as El Omari scored this header from Seruki's cross. But the next 6 minutes, Chelsea somehow managed to score twice to equalize. In the 87th though, Okpe scored to give us the lead again after a complete mess in their box. Just 2 minutes later, Smith Rowe, who somehow ended up at Chelsea, scored with this great finish. But it's offside! It didn't matter though, as Nkunku scored with this outrageous finish in the 91st, so it's going to extra time. I decided to put Antwi on as El Omrani was knackered, but that was a poor choice. He scored an own goal not even a minute after coming on, and Smith Rowe scored again in the 101st to get the Blues a 2-goal lead. Straight from kickoff in the second half of extra time though, Elai Nawi scored with his nice finish to give us a glimmer of hope. And in the 121st, Toumi scored this tap-in after Sanusi had hit a post. But it's fucking offside. So we lose 5-4 against Chelsea in an insane game. It was a decent performance from us at times, but we managed to bottle it in the deciding moments. That loss didn't really faze us though, as we smashed Troyes 4-1 as Zuma, Situni, Nantumbo and Achilles all got a goal. We've now got the Coupe de France, where we've already smashed Montpellier 5-2 in the 11th round, before we've now got second tier side Brest, who we also smash, as we win 6-1 in a great performance. Back to the league, we took the lead against Lille through Namaso, but Lille came back and scored 2 late goals to get the 2-1 win, and hand us our first loss in the league since before Christmas.
This was the no-brainer. This was the banker. This was the one that couldn't fail. This was one that's never failed.
The next game, we just about won 3-2 against Auxerre as El Omari, Toumi with his brilliant volley, and El Omrani with his shite finish in the 94th got our goals. And that means we've dropped down to second after 25 games. PSG have a game in hand, and if they win that, they have a 3-point gap. So we'll have to win against exactly PSG in a couple weeks to have a chance of winning the title. Before the arguable title decider against PSG, we won 3-2 against Lorient as Okpei got a brace. And against PSG at home, there's a highlight straight from kickoff. And Nantumbo scores after 13 seconds. What? But it didn't last long. Kolomouani scored this shite header off the post at the near post, so Ekra should really be saving that. We once again take the lead though, as Nuruddin shoots at a gaping goal as Donnarumma is on an acid trip, and it deflects off Kamara and counts as his own goal. But it once again didn't last long, 2 minutes to be exact. Joao Sinho, who is an insane wonder kid, scored with this great finish to equalize. A post hit for each team followed. Before Namaso scored from Marco's pullback pass in the 81st to get us the win. We're back ahead of them by 2 points, and we're now in the driver's seat for the title. But we came right back down to earth against what is turning out to be our rivals, Lens, as we drew 2-2 because of a last-second goal from Descartes. And against Nice and Toulouse, we got back to winning ways by winning 3-1 in both games, as Namaso got himself 3 goals across those 2 games. Our stadium expansion has just been completed, by the way, and the first thing that happened in it was that Toumi tore his hamstring, so he's out for 2 months. But those results means we're still in second. We're tied on points with PSG, but have a lot worse goal difference. We need to win all our final games and beg for PSG to drop points. Before the final stretch of league games, we win 4-2 against Nice in the Coupe de France semi-final to make our second final in 2 years, and set up an opportunity of a title defense. Back to the league for the title run-in, we just about won 1-0 against Strasbourg thanks to this insane banging volley from Maku.
Banger! After banger! After banger!
But in the next game, we got a big shock. We lost 3-1 against the Rams, completely deservedly. We were miles off it. Shocking! So our title dream is basically gone. Before our second to last game though, we got the message that PSG had drawn with Lille, so there's still a small chance, and we capitalize on it. As Nantumbo and Okpei from the spots got our goals in a huge 2-0 win against Marseille. The final league game is upon us now, and we've got Pau at home, such a winnable game. But we also need PSG to drop points against Lorient, which is very unlikely. We started well, as Namaso scored this from Nantumbo's pass across 22 minutes in. But when I looked at the other results, I saw that PSG were 3-0 up against Lorient after 20 minutes. We won 3-0 in the end, as Nantumbo and Okpei got one each in the second half. But we miss out on the title by a single point, as PSG won 5-1 against Lorient. It is a massive step up from last season though. We actually pushed PSG the entire way, and next season we're gonna go for glory. We still have a chance of glory this season though, against Marseille in the Coupe de France final. We took an early lead as Nantumbo scored from Marco's deflected cross. Unai scored this deflected goal in the 69th though, and as nothing else happened, it's going to extra time. Just 3 minutes into extra time, Marco delivered this insane cross to Situni, who had an easy job of scoring. The latter had had enough at that point though, as he got injured in the 111th. And I couldn't even bring anyone on, since I'd used all our subs. But it didn't matter at all, as we won 2-1 to get our second Coupe de France. Okpei topped the top scorer list, as well as topping the top performance list, with Situni, Nantumbo and Tumi not far behind. The Smoen would become an icon, and finally we were able to add another trophy to our Count versus PSG. We're starting to catch up, right? Ancelotti to the retirement home.
There we landed.
So PSG now needed a manager, and they've hired Fabian Hürzeler of all people. It's a bit of a surprise, and hopefully we can take advantage of PSG needing to adapt to a new style of play and push for the title. But first, some signings, and I went big.
I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man.
But after selling Islam Situni to Barcelona for 90 million, we do.
I think you have the facilities for that, big man.
And for good measure, I also sold Yassin Ayari to Sporting for 24 million, Lainawi to Alaves for 5.25, and finally Datro Fofana to Norwich for $1 million. And with those huge amounts of cash money, we brought in some huge players. Emmanuel Emega, last season's top scorer, joined us for just 34.5 million from Strasbourg, Christian Achu for 32 million from Manchester City, Aliou Sa for 25 million from Sporting, and finally Renato Sanchez, Nathan Ake and Asan Ouedraogo joined on a free for 2.3 million and on loan respectively, with Okpei being amongst the favourites for both top scorer and top player, and us being 5th in the season preview. We'll look to provide our fans with a historic first league title. But before that, we lost 2-0 to PSG in the Trophée des Champions. João Sinho and Arda Güler, who's just moved there, scored their goals, and they still look like a tough side to beat. So we definitely have our work cut out for us. The first league game is finally here, and we demolish Lorient 4-0 as our new signing Omega got himself a hat-trick. And to top it off, Seruki scored this outrageous free kick as well. And the former didn't stop there, as he scored another 4 in the next game. We humiliated Monaco 6-0, as Omega has now got 7 goals in 2 games. This level of goal scoring is like a certain Norwegian. Now, with Nathan Ake joining us, you'd expect him to be one of the more experienced players, right? Well, look at what he did in his first game for us. He looks like an 8-year-old who's never played a game before. Thankfully though, we got a pen right before the break, which Okpei missed? What the fuck? 15 minutes into the second, Sa finally broke the deadlock for us and equalized. And right before the end, we put together a nice passing move finished off by Nantumbo to just about beat Metz 2-1. It's not all sunshine and rainbows though, as Okpei picked up a calf strain against Metz and is out for a month. One of the dullest games followed, a 1-0 win against Pau as Nantumbo scored. But the nice performances made a quick return, as we beat Omega's former team Strasbourg 3-0 with Nantumbo, Sa and Schouten with an own goal scoring our goals. And the good performances kept coming as well. We beat Lyon 3-1 as Nantumbo scored a brace and Malco scored the final one before we'd face Besiktas in our first UCL league phase game. The first real chance didn't come until the 58th actually, as El Amrani scored this. We then scored 2 late goals through Achu and Tumi to get a nice and relatively easy 3-0 win. The next UCL game against Freiburg was quite a dull affair. They hit the bar in the first half and then scored 15 minutes into the second. And the only chance we had was this free kick from Seruki, which hit the post. So we've somehow lost to Freiburg. Back to the league, things weren't a lot better there. Ngan Noah gave away a pen in the 29th, which Brewster scored. Straight from kickoff in the second half though, Namaso, who'd come on at half-time, played this brilliant pass through to Omega, who rounded the keeper and scored. And not even 2 minutes later, Namaso scored to give us the lead. 2 goals in 2 minutes, but we then conceded again, to Brewster again. And as Namaso absolutely skied this chance, have it! We only managed a 2-2 draw with Reims. It's our first dropped points in the league, and it's a disappointing one. We then hit back with a 2-1 win over Lille, with Nantumbo getting both goals, before disappointingly drawing 1-1 with Toulouse. And to make matters worse, Ignosi got injured and is out for a month. Against Montpellier, we'd have to face them without both El Amrani and Zuma, as they're on international duty for some reason. But that didn't faze us, as we came back from 1-0 down to win the game 3-2 as Toumi got a brace and Achu got the final one. And that means that after 10 games, we're in second. We're unbeaten and we're in second. We're 2 points behind PSG, who are actually outrageous this season, and it'll be insanely tough to get one over on them. Going back to the UCL, we've got Manchester City at home. We started incredibly. Marco scored this from Sa's free kick cross 2 minutes in. A woodwork hit for each team followed, as well as a mega missing the sitter, before we'd finally double our lead. Nantumbo scored with this brilliant finish in added time, but not even 10 minutes into the second, we conceded, as Oscar Bob scored this. And straight from kickoff, Bob's Norwegian friend Haaland scored. We've lost our 2-goal lead in as many minutes. But in the 88th, in the aftermath of a corner, Namaso scored to give us the win. An absolute mess of a goal, but I'll absolutely take it. Against Roma in the 4th UCL game, we lost 2-1 as they scored 2 really bad goals. I mean, our goal wasn't the best either, but they got 2. How's that fair? In the league though, we continued our good run of form. We beat Clermont easily 3-0 as Namaso, Okpe and Sanusi got 1 each, before we'd host PSG at Stade de Gobelin. It was an incredibly dull game, with only a single chance for each team. And we took ours, as Nantumbo scored this nice header from Marco's cross, and PSG failed to take their chance. Kangin Lee missed this big chance in added time, so we win 1-0 against PSG to give them their first loss of the season. And we've taken the lead of the league with that as well. After that dull game, a rollercoaster of emotions was next. Against Marseille, we went 1-0 down, came back to 2-1 up, and conceded again, all in the first 45 minutes. And in the 86th, Nganoa decided to push his man when Antwi clearly had control of the situation, so they got a pen, which Alexander scored. We did manage to score again though, such was the nature of this game, as Okpe scored this tap-in to save a 3-3 draw, but not a good performance at all. A positive though is that PSG also drew, so we still lead. Despite leading the league, I'm still not completely happy, as anything can happen. But we made sure to do our job, that's for sure. We won 2-1 against Nice with Namaso getting a goal, 3-0 against Nantes with Omega getting a brace, 2-0 against Lens with Namaso scoring a brace off the bench, and finally 3-1 against Rennes as we came back from 1-0 down with Okpe, Antwi with this banger, and Maku getting the 3 goals. And that win streak means we're in first. We're 3 points clear of PSG as they don't really mess up except for against us. As for the final 2 UCL league phase games before the break, we'd face Sturm Graz and Lazio. Before our game against the Austrian side, Okpe came into my office to have a chat. Now I thought he just wanted to ask for a new contract or something, but he blindsided me and complained about his playing time. Hey boss, I need to play more, it's not good for my development. What do you mean? I'm playing you week in, week out. No, I need more playing time. What? You want to die of fatigue? I need more playing time. Okay, I'll give you even more playing time then. And well, I did, even though I was already playing him every week. But he shut me up real quick. He scored 4. Yes, 4 against Sturm Graz to make it a 4-0 win. So I won't go against him again, I'll tell you that much. And against Lazio, we wasted a lot of chances. We did finally score though, in the 56th through Namaso. 20 minutes later though, Lazio got the softest pen I think I've ever seen. Sanusi barely touched Bacca, and Sternal scored the pen. So we draw 1-1 with Lazio in a very disappointing performance. Before going into our final 2 UCL league phase games, we played Lorient in the 18th league game. After Okpei had scored an offside goal where he was a mile off, they scored to take the lead. Right before the break though, Okpei scored an actual goal to equalize. But in the 83rd, Makengo put this out of his hat. How? So we lose 2-1 to Lorient. That's our first loss in the league against Lorient.
What are you doing? Bloody mince pie defending! About as useful as a mince pie swimming through custard. Shite! Absolute shite!
A positive thing now though is that our stadium is fully expanded. So we have a capacity of just shy of 22,000. Before playing there, we have to go to North London and the Emirates. However, it scored twice in the first half, 2 tap-ins, to make it difficult for us. 5 minutes into the second, however, Ouedraogo scored. And in the 77th, I was certain we'd score, but Nantumbo hit the bar, and then he hit Raya's ass with a rebound. So we lose 2-1 to Arsenal, and it was a bit of the same against Barcelona. We conceded after 22 seconds. And again in the 16th. We reduced the arrears earlier this time though, but we couldn't get the equalizer. So we lose 2-1 to Barcelona as well. And that means we end up in 19th in the league phase. So we're through to the knockout playoff round at least. The next 4 games in the league, we win 2 and disappointingly draw 2. We win 3-1 against Pau despite being 10 men for over half the game. Draw 2-2 against Strasbourg as Ngannou had to save us in the 95th. Smash Lyon 4-0 as both Omega and Okpei got a brace. And finally draw 1-1 with Reims. And now we're heading into the UCL knockout playoff round, where we'll face Liverpool. That's a tough draw. But it turned out to not be that tough. We took the lead 5 minutes in through Okpei. Doubled it 25 minutes later through the same man, and scored another in the 41st to make it 3-0. And as nothing happened in the second half, we've got a 3-0 lead to take to Anfield. But we all know what happened to the last team who took a 3-0 lead to Anfield. Before the second leg, we came back from 1-0 down to win 5-2 as we scored 5 uninterrupted goals. But against Liverpool at Anfield, Osimhen gave the Reds the lead 21 minutes in. They kept the pressure up, but Ekra held them off for the rest of the half. And in the second half, it was our game. Okpei scored this in the 50th, and Namaso scored to give us the lead in the 77th. So we win 2-1 away at Anfield, and 5-1 on aggregate. What a win!
Sacked in the morning! You're getting sacked in the morning! Sacked in the morning! You're getting sacked in the morning!
Before the round of 16, we beat Monaco 2-0 as Achu of all people got a brace, and Toulouse 3-0 as Maku, Omega and Yusi got the goals. Which means that after 25 league games, we're still in first. We are tied on points with PSG now though, and we only lead by 4 goals on goal difference. In the round of 16, we're facing another English side, in Tottenham. And they're actually the holders of the Champions League, so it's a very difficult tie. And they showed us that in the first leg. We got absolutely smashed, 3-0 as Matsubara got a brace and Dragoshin got the final one. We didn't even have a single chance, so we got humbled. And in the second leg, the same theme kept going. Semi Kiriksoi gave them the lead 5 minutes in, before Omega scored 20 minutes later to give us a glimmer of hope. But that hope got shattered not long after, as Pino scored this pen and this free kick. After 2 offside goals from Okpei, we finally scored an actual goal in the 71st, and another in the 87th. But it was obviously way too late, so we draw 3-3 in the second leg and lose 6-3 on aggregate because of a horrific first leg. Despite going out of the UCL, we didn't let that affect us in the league, as we came back from 1-0 down, like so many times before, to win 3-1 against Montpellier. You're probably wondering where the Coupe de France is, and well, here it comes. We beat Stade Plabenessois 5-0 in the 9th round, Troyes 4-2 in the 10th, and Lens 6-0 in the 11th to make it to the quarters. And there we'll face Saint-Étienne. And that is because they managed to knock out PSG. That is incredible. But now we need to be wary. And we were, as we beat them 3-2 in what was a relatively comfortable game, as Okpei got himself a brace. So we're through to the semis for the 3rd time in a row. Before going to the Parc des Princes, we absolutely humiliated Clermont 6-1. Both Okpei and Omega got a brace, and will look to take that goal-scoring form to PSG. This is the arguable title decider, as both us and PSG seem to not be dropping points against anyone really. Both Colomwani and Arda Güler scored an offside goal in the first half, and in the second, Omega hit the bar with his long shots. In the 77th minute, their striker Barbet tried playing the ball back to his goalie, but he didn't reach it. So Namaso picked up the loose pass and scored on a wide open goal, as their goalie was miles off his line. So we win 1-0 against PSG to complete the double over them in the league this season. Such an important win, and we now have a 3-point gap over them.
Jesus Christ, great.
But that gap came down to just 1 point after the next game. We somehow managed to draw to Marseille again. This time a 2-2 draw, as we managed to lose our 2-0 lead in 7 minutes. We then got back on the horse by beating Nice 3-0 as Maku, Omega and Okpei got the goals. So with 4 games to go, we're still leading, only by a single point though. So we need to keep winning our games in order to finally pip PSG to the title. Before the title run-in though, we've got Rennes in the Coupe de France semi-final. Okpei missed 2 huge chances in the opening 11 minutes, before finally scoring in the 19th. Omega doubled our lead just 4 minutes later. But our main summer transfer target, Salaheddine Seba, then scored twice in 4 minutes to make it all level again. And as nothing happened in the second half, it's going to pens. Sakanye is up first for Rennes, and he scores. Achilles is our first, and he scores. Fabio Silva also scores. Vidraogo is up next for us, and he misses. Fagioli then scored this banging pen, before Namaso scored for us, and likewise for Iriart. And that means that Seruki has to score for us. And he does score, but now Ekra has to save. And he does save it! Okpei now has to score to make it go to sudden death. And he does! Seydou then scored for Rennes to put all the pressure on Yassine El Amrani. He has to score. And he misses. So we're out of the Coupe de France for the first time since season 5.
So it's missed. Shit. I thought he put it in the bottom corner. It's missed.
Now back to the league for the 4 most important games in our history. We start well, as we beat Nantes 1-0 with Okpei scoring the only goal in this delightful way. We then smashed Lens, quite undeservedly actually, as we scored 4 from less XG than them, and they only scored 1. Either way, Omega got himself a hat-trick to take us just 2 games away from the title. Before our second to last game, we were agreed an initial transfer for Salaheddine Seba, Rennes' star player. And we've done so right before our league game against exactly Rennes. Now that is a new way of disturbing the opposition camp. And it clearly worked, as we smashed them 5-0 with Omega getting himself another 2 goals. And after he saw us thump his team 5-0, Salaheddine Seba has now agreed to join us for 70 million. If you can't beat them, join them. But now it's time for the title decider. We're facing already relegated last place Metz away. while PSG are facing Toulouse at home. So both teams are expected to win, but you never know. We started in the best way possible, as Toumi scored this header after 3 minutes. Okpe then doubled it. And Toumi got our third right before the break. And to top it off, Emega scored the fourth to make it a 4-1 win and secure us our very first Ligue 1 title. We've finally done it! We're the first team to take the Ligue 1 title from PSG since 2021. That's 10 years! Well, we might have won Ligue 1, but can we take it a step further and take down the entirety of Europe using only Africans? Well, we'll see, won't we? These two were sold, one for 80 million and one for 2 million. But that didn't matter, because we brought in Ousmane Dembélé, who has the balance of a, well, Dembélé. Coming off a historic title, we can now put all our focus on getting the Champions League. But first, some signings. You all know about Salahuddin Seba already, so I won't talk about him. But we brought Alan N'Guessan back to the club, as we bought him over broke Nantes.
Like, if you're a broke boy, just say so.
El Hadji Malik Diouf, the left back with the longest name in football, joined us for 38 million from Aston Villa, as well as Igo Ogbu for 15.25 million from Brighton. And finally, Sharon Dur and aforementioned Dembélé also joined the club on free transfers. And the players out were the mentioned Namaso and Renato Sanchez, as well as a retired Nathan Ake, a contractless Sanusi, an end of loan Ouedraogo, an angry Achilles left for Alaves, and finally another angry lad in Victor Nantumbo left for Chelsea for 40 million. Before starting our season, both Sa and Seba twisted their ankles, so they're out for a month. And before starting our title defense, we won 3-0 against Rennes in the Trophée des Champions to win that trophy for the first time as well. Our title defense started insanely well. We humiliated Monaco 6-1 to open the season, as Okpe got a brace. We continued on the same track the next 3 games, as we smashed Toulouse 6-1, Havre 5-1 and Lyon 4-1. Emega got 4 against Toulouse. Okpe got a hat-trick in 23 minutes against Havre. And N'Guessan scored a banger against both Toulouse and Havre, as well as a brace against Lyon. So his return to the club has been nothing short of incredible. But in the 5th game, it was full stop against Nice. N'Guessan once again scored a brilliant goal. But we conceded 5 minutes later to only manage a 1-1 draw. And before our next game, Okpe got announced as Player of the Month for August. And he took that and doubled down, as he scored all 3 goals against Reims to get back to winning ways. Now we've got AC Milan away at the San Siro, a tough away game, where we actually took the lead. Okpe's got a header from El Amrani's great cross, but straight from kickoff we conceded to Den Bogende. Halfway through the second half, they genuinely just outplayed us and scored through Da Silva. But right before the end, Magnan played a horrific pass which Ndour picked up. He played it to Seba, who scored on a wide open goal. So we save a great point away to AC Milan.
Almost just slightly shoulders forward, go in there, ready to move.
Against Derry City in the next UCL game, we actually didn't score until the 48th from the spot. But once we got the opener, everything went in. Seba got 1, Emega got 2 and Okpe got 3. So our 3 strikers all got goals. Back to the league, Seba turned up the heat after a rather disappointing start to his campaign. He scored 4 out of 5 goals in the 5-0 win over Montpellier, after working so hard to get to the top of the table. We managed to throw it all away by losing 2-1 to Rennes and drawing 2-2 with Lens. And to make it all even worse, Yassin El Amrani has just been injured on international duty. And he's broken his f***ing leg. So he's out for 3 to 4 months.
Why must you let me suffer?
As if that wasn't enough, we've now got PSG. But it might actually not be that bad, because PSG aren't performing as well as they have been. Gaudin decided to ruin his team's chances just 20 minutes in, as he put in this horror challenge on Okpei to get a straight red. So the rest of the game was a breeze. Maku, Seba, Okpei, Ngusan and Okpei again got our goals in a 5-1 hammering of PSG. That means that we're in second behind Lille after 10 games. We started absolutely insane and then lost 1 and drew 2 in a short space of time. We are scoring incredible amounts of goals though, so hopefully we can continue with that at least. Away to Porto in the UCL, Okpei hit both posts 4 minutes in. Seba then missed this as he too hit the woodwork. We did score 2 minutes later though, through Okpei. And nothing else happened, so a dull game where we did what we needed to. But in the next UCL game, we definitely didn't do what we needed to. We lost 4-1 to Bayern. They took the lead 2 minutes in, and we never recovered from that. In the league, however, we definitely performed. We smashed Clermont 5-1 and Nantes 4-0 as Mega scored a hat-trick in both games. He's insane, man. Against Marseille in the next game, after an offside goal, we finally scored in the 45th, through none other than Mega. In the 70th and 75th, Seba scored to make it both 2-0 and 3-0. And after a consolation goal for them, we won 3-win in such an important game for our title chances. We then barely managed to win away to Strasbourg. Okpei got our only goal, which didn't come until the 92nd minute. And before facing our title rivals Lille, we won rather undeservedly 3-1 against Lorient. Seruki, Antwi and Seba got the goals, before going to Lille. We had full control the first 65 minutes or so. Seba, Ngusan and Mega got a goal each to make it a comfortable 3-0 lead. But then Lille woke up and scored in the 72nd. And again in the 85th. But thankfully we held on to just about win 3-2 and get 3 incredibly important points. In the next game we got back to scoring loads, as we beat Troyes 6-1 with Mega getting 2, and that means we're in first at the halfway point. We lead by 2 points down to Nice and 4 down to Lille. PSG have also fallen off big time. They're in 5th, 14 points behind us. So our title win last season might just have done some irreparable damage to our fellow Parisians. As for the final 2 UCL league phase games before the break, we scored loads, just like in the league. We smashed PSV 4-0 as Seba got a hat-trick and an assist. And against Molde, we surprisingly only won 2-0, as 2 of our centre-backs got a goal each from 2 different corners. I have once again been an idiot and forgotten about AFCON. And that really isn't ideal, as we have 11 players leaving to play there.
Wow. Woo! Bravo, you f***ing idiot!
So I brought in 2 players to sort of cover for that. Mohamed Kamara, a right wing-back, and Trevor Chalobah came in on loans from Newcastle and Chelsea respectively. Against Monaco in the 18th league game, we somehow managed to lose 4-3. Marshall scored this outrageous goal. Morton scored this deflected goal which Ekra should save, and Zivkovic scored this pen. We did manage to score to make it 3-3 though. But then Antwi wanted to play some volleyball in a completely unnecessary situation. So he got his second yellow. And that ultimately led to Mac scoring for Monaco as the last thing that happened.
It is so bad, I want to give you a 0. But that's not possible. So I give you a 1.
And to make matters even worse, Seba managed to get injured in training. He somehow managed to fall so hard on his own arm that he broke it. But he'll have to suck it up and play through it. As if that wasn't enough, we managed to lose 3-0 to Dortmund in the 7th UCL League phase game. We were genuinely shite. But that's not that surprising, considering we're without about 7 of our starters. Before going to North London to face Tottenham in a deciding league phase game, we humiliated Lyon 6-1. Emega got 5 goals in a single game. That's outrageous! And hopefully he can take that to London. We have to win this to get through via the top 8, so it's a massive game. And we take an early lead. Zuma scored this header from Okpe in aftermath of a corner just 13 minutes in. Samu Omorodion then missed 2 huge chances, before Okonkwo pulled off this insane save in the 88th. But from the following corner, Samu Omorodion finally scored. There's a highlight straight from kickoff though, and after a bit of a build-up, Antwi played this lofted ball over to Diouf, who crossed it first time with a volley. And there was Mako to head it into the back of the net. So we managed to win 2-1 away to Tottenham to get through to the round of 16 directly.
Sometimes I stagger even myself with my genius.
Back to the league, we have a huge game for our title chances right away. We take the lead against Nice early through Mako. Just over 20 minutes later, we concede though, as they actually just play some nice football, or some Nice football, haha. Thankfully, Emega managed to score this header from Dembele's corner to get a huge win. Against Reims in the next game, Okpe decided to score a cool 4 goals. And as Engesan got one as well, we won 5-1. We then just about won 2-1 against Montpellier thanks to a Toumi brace, before smashing Rennes. Emega got a brace and Okpe and Toumi got the other 2 in a 4-0 win. A disappointing game followed that, as we somehow draw 1-1 with Toulouse. We did win the next game though, 3-1 against Lens as Seba got a brace. Those results means that after 25 league games we're still in first, but only by a single point down to Lille, so we need to keep winning. Some brilliant news though, is that Fabian Hürzeler has been sacked by PSG. They've been absolutely horror this season, and are currently in 6th, 21 points off the lead. And to add fuel to the fire, they've also just been knocked out of the Coupe de France by Rennes on penalties.
I'll have to ask my accountant about that.
It's time for the round of 16 in the UEFA Champions League. We've been drawn RB Leipzig, and I genuinely think we have a chance of getting through. And we showed that in both legs actually. First, we won 1-0 away from home as Emega scored this great header. And second, we took the lead in the second leg through Okpe, before doubling it through Diouf 11 minutes later. And after a consolation goal, we win 2-1 in the second leg and 3-1 in aggregate to make it through to the quarters for the first time in our history. With that confidence, we can hopefully add even more fuel to the fire of PSG. We started by scoring an offside goal through Seba, before we somehow allowed Kvaratskhelia to score a header from a corner. And it took a long time before anything else happened. But we finally scored in the 71st. Kamara won the ball from Renan's poor switch, and then scored a deflected goal to equalize. 14 minutes later though, Gyökeres scored this tap-in to take back the lead. 8 minutes after that again though, El Amrani played Maku through, and he put in a cross for Seba to tap in to equalize again. So we save a very late draw to at least get something from a tough game.
Sometimes if you listen very carefully, you can hear my genius.
After a game with fewer goals than we're used to, we got back to usual figures, as we humiliated both Clermont and Nantes. We beat Clermont 7-0, as Emega got a brace and Seba got a hat-trick. And against Nantes, Emega got yet another brace. But Okpe stole the headlines as he got himself the remaining 4. It's time for the biggest games in our history. We have been drawn Vincent Kompany's Arsenal in the quarterfinals. and we'll play them at home in the first leg. So Arsenal have got a Parisian side in the UCL. Sort of reminds me of something. We take an early lead at home, as Okpei scored this brilliant looping header over Raya and off the bar. After knocking on the door with this post hit from Saka, Arsenal got their goal straight from kickoff in the second half. Havertz scored this tap-in to make it 1-1, which was also the final result. So we have a big task ahead of us at the Emirates. And it started as a nightmare. Mako missed this huge chance before Odegaard scored this free kick through our wall. We did manage to hit back though, right before the break. Toomey scored a great header from Sa's cross to make it all level going into the break. In the 58th, Toomey put in a cross from a free kick, which met the head of Nga Noah, who scored. And not even 6 minutes later, Emega scored this deflected goal to get us a 2-goal cushion. But we gave away the ball in the 75th, and Odegaard capitalizes on it to get within a goal. But we hold on to get through to the UEFA Champions League semi-finals. Back to the league, we just about win 3-2 against Marseille in a huge win. Ngesan, Seba and Emega got our goals, before we humiliated Strasbourg. Well, actually not we, but Emega. He scored all 5 goals, and against his former club as well. That's a bit awkward.
Oh my God! This is what he does! This is what he flipping does! It's illegal!
Either way, those wins means we're still in first with 4 games to go, and we're 4 points clear of Lille in second, and we're also facing them in our next league game. So if we win against them, we've basically secured the title. The reason for lack of Coupe de France highlights is because it's been a very easy journey so far. We won 2-1 against Guingamp in the 9th round thanks to an Emega brace, 4-0 against Lorient in the 10th as Emega got another brace, 4-0 against Metz in the 11th as Dembele got a brace, and finally 2-0 against 4th tier side US St. Malo as Endor and Okpei got a goal each. And now we've got 2nd tier side Dijon in the semis, which we win very easily, 3-0 with Emega scoring 2 and Okpei the final one. So we're back to the Coupe de France final after going out in the semis last year. It's once again time for the biggest games in our history. We've been drawn Barcelona in the semi-final, and we're at home in the first leg. It was a very dull game, except for this highlights basically straight from kickoff. Emega scored this header off the post from Toomey's corner 44 seconds in. And nothing else really happened, so we take a great 1-0 lead with us to the Camp Nou. But before that, we've got Lille in the league, which is the arguable title decider. Just like against Barcelona, we take the lead so early. Okpei scored this tap-in from Seba's pass across 28 seconds in, and in the 17th, Okpei scored his second tap-in to double our lead. But just 7 minutes later, Johannesson's shot hit a post, and Jonathan David scored the rebound. Right before the break, Achu decided to step up when he had a man behind him, so Ndoye easily scored. And as nothing happened in the second half, it ends in a 2-2 draw. It is an okay result, but it's so annoying to lose a 2-goal lead. We're now away at the Camp Nou for the second leg of the semi-final. 2 minutes in, Achu won the ball just into our half. Mako played it first time to Emega, played this brilliant pass through to Okpei, and he was cool, calm and collected one-on-one with their goalie to give us the lead 2 minutes in. After a big save from the goalie, we doubled our lead with this deflected shot from Sa. Ekra then pulled off this insane save before Pedro Porro hit the post with a powerful long shot. We took advantage of their wasted chances and scored another one before the break. And to top it off, Emega scored in the 89th to make it 4. So we humiliate Barcelona 4-0 and 5-0 on aggregate to make our first ever European final. What a game!
Sometimes my genius, it generates gravity.
Lille drew 1-1 with Strasbourg in their 32nd league game. So if we get 4 more points, we've got the title. We got 3 of those 4 points against Troyes, as we smashed them 5-0 with Okpei getting a brace. As long as we don't lose against Lorient now, we've got our second title. We took the lead early through Okpei, before Marco scored to double it in the 66th. But both Zuma and Ekra managed to f*** up defensively, so they got one back. And 4 minutes later, they scored again. I then went super defensive, and that worked. We draw 2-2 with Lorient, and we've won our second League 1 title in a row. Let's go! Finally, we won 7-1 against Havre in the final game to sign off in style. And PSG have had such a bad season that they're playing Conference League football next season. Get fucked, PSG! Let's go! We've now got not just one, but two finals. We've got Rennes in the Coupe de France final, in what will be my 400th game in management, which is pretty crazy timing. Okpei's got an offside goal straight from kickoff, as Marco was off. Noah then missed a good chance in the 37th. But a minute later, Marco squared it for Okpei to tap in to take the lead. Shortly after the break, Emega scored this header from Tumi's cross. And finally, Ndor won the ball high up the pitch before playing it to Seba, who scored. So we win 3-0 against Rennes to get our third Coupe de France title. And it's also a domestic treble. Finally, it's time for the UEFA Champions League final. We're up against the kings of this competition, Real Madrid. And their way to the final has been as difficult as ours, if not even tougher. They got past City rivals Atletico Madrid in round of 16, thanks to a 90th minute winner from Jude Bellingham. They then humiliated Bayern at the Santiago Bernabeu as Mbappe got 4? Before turning around a 1-0 deficit against Tottenham in the semis. They won 2-1 in the second leg and eventually went through on pens, so it's a difficult side to face. But I have faith. And so do the odds makers, as we're actually slight favourites. It started in the worst way possible though. We gave them the ball at the halfway line, which ultimately led to Bellingham scoring 7 minutes in. Just over 10 minutes later though, Diouf put a low cross into Emega, who scored with a nice finish to equalize. Just over 10 minutes after that again, Ekra came out to box away a cross. But he missed the ball, so it fell into the lap of Rodrigo, who had an easy job of scoring on the wide open goal. The same man also hit the post right before the break, so we need to switch on now. 15 minutes into the second half, Ndor missed this decent chance. And right around this time, I brought on some subs, including Ignosi, who I accidentally put on in midfield. But Ignosi didn't care. He got the ball from Ndor just ahead of the halfway line and went on a crazy solo run to score. He's equalized from center mid. In the 79th, Noah won the ball in our box and drove with it upfield. After a couple of combination passes, Kamara got the ball out on the right, and he played an incredible ball over the top to Emega, who scored with an even better finish. So we win 3-2 against Real Madrid after an insane comeback. And we won the Champions League, and the quadruple by the way. What an insane season, and an incredible and fitting way to end this brilliant journey.